Some stories should never be told. Some truths are too dangerous to be revealed. But today, you chose to listen, and in doing so, you opened a door you may never be able to close. What you are about to learn is not a legend. It is not a campfire story meant to send shivers down your spine. This is an ancient truth, buried by time and forgotten, but never harmless, because those who dared to touch it will pay for the rest of their lives. In the heart of it all lies the ritual of shadows, an ancient ritual mentioned only in whispers, practiced by those who believed they were ready to face the unknown. They all thought the same, and they were all wrong. The ritual should never be performed. Yet, there are accounts stretching over centuries of people who did. During the process, something is awakened, something that should never open its eyes. At the center of it all lies the ritual of shadows, an ancient ritual mentioned only in whispers, practiced by those who believed they were ready to face the unknown. They all thought the same, and they were all wrong. The ritual should never be performed. Yet there are accounts stretching over centuries of people who did. During the process, something is awakened, something that should never open its eyes. Those who summon the entity seal a bond, a contract that exacts a very high price, their souls. Those who evoke the entity seal a bond, a contract that exacts a very high price, their souls. You might think you're safe, that all of this is just a tale. But beware, once this entity knows of your existence, it never leaves you in peace. The darkness around you, it is no longer just darkness. The ritual of shadows is simple to execute, yet complex in its consequences. It is often passed among curious groups, youths seeking to challenge the unknown or experience the forbidden. Yet legend holds that merely mentioning the ritual carries the risk of connection, like a secret password that only needs to be heard to work. The events associated with the ritual are terrifying. Small noises emerge at night. Shadows shift at the periphery of vision. Dreams initially confusing begin to intensify, filled with a presence that observes. And there's something you need to know. When you dream of bright eyes for the third time, it's already too late. At that moment, you are no longer the hunter of the story. You become the prey. But the most terrifying are the survivors. Those who manage to avoid a worse fate by passing the ritual on. Surviving, according to them, does not mean escaping. It means transferring the curse, telling another person, making the cycle continue. And it is for this reason you can begin to understand why this truth continues to exist today. In one of the recent accounts from 2011, a group of researchers claimed to have found an ancient version of the ritual in forgotten esoteric manuscripts. Determined to document the results, they prepared everything: cameras, recorders, sensors. The chosen location was an isolated house, far from any external interference. At first, everything seemed calm, but in their footage, disturbing details began to emerge. Static cut through recordings without explanation. Shadows captured in places where no one should be. Objects displaced between frames. Then came the disappearance. One of the researchers vanished during the night. His last recording, partially recovered, repeated a phrase in a distorted tone, "He is here." When they reviewed the earlier material, they noticed something even more alarming. Over days, he was the only one exhibiting strange behavior, hearing noises no one else could, commenting on intense dreams with figures at the corners of his eyes. The pattern is always the same: small signs, whispers while you try to sleep, a presence that constantly approaches, unhurried, but with the inevitable desire to reach you. Hiding is futile. Locked doors and windows hold no meaning, because once you've made contact, it becomes part of the world you inhabit. Your world. More disturbingly, evidence shows the ritual may not be born of human minds. Archaeologists discovered caves with inscriptions dating back thousands of years, depicting faceless humanoid figures watching forbidden ceremonies. Some villages disappeared entirely shortly after marking symbols on the ground, symbols identical to those in the cave inscriptions and modern descriptions of those attempting the ritual of shadows. Yet this practice, which you'd believe to be buried in the past, has found ways to survive. Hidden forums on the deep web actively discuss the ritual. Posts frequently emerge detailing the necessary steps alongside elaborate personal accounts. All follow a pattern. A curious individual, or perhaps desperate for answers, dares to perform the ritual. On the first day, everything seems like a game. On the second, the signs begin, until on the third, the accounts stop abruptly. Accounts are deleted, people vanish, and all that remains are disjointed fragments like a digital diary forgetting itself in the void of the internet. He won't let me erase this. You may choose to doubt. You might think all these stories are coincidences, horror stories with a purely psychological utility. But accounts persist, indicating that even those who merely heard of the ritual can feel the effects. No one knows why. Is it collective hysteria, a sociological behavior induced by fear? Or is there something more alive behind these stories? Indeed, the evoked entity does not follow a definitive pattern. For some, it announces its arrival with shadows slipping across the walls. For others, it's a reflection in mirrors, easily dismissed as mere paranoia. But there are those who say that it all begins in a dream. A nightmare so real, so visceral, that even upon waking, the feeling that something remained in the room never disappears. And now you are also involved in this story. There is no turning back. By listening to this account, you have opened the door. The entity knows you exist, it knows your voice, it knows where you are. The question that remains is, what will you do now? Will you try to forget it, ignore it? Or, like many before you, will you tell this story to another, passing the ritual on? The decision is yours. But remember, choose carefully, because some doors once opened can never be closed. Now turn off the lights and ask yourself, where is the shadow that watches you at this moment?